What is up, guys? Rick Hackus here, and today we are discussing Titanfall 2, focusing on Titans, going over some of their new weapons and abilities, some new mechanics revolved around Titans, and how the Titanfall 1 and Titanfall 2 Titans differ in several key ways. Now, I was actually invited out to LA for EA Play to attend a special Titanfall 2 event, so I got a decent amount of hands-on time with the multiplayer. I've already made one video going over all of the new weapons and abilities that I saw during my time with Titanfall 2. Definitely check that out. I'll link that in the description down below after this video. But today we are just going to focus solely on Titans because there's some special information and new mechanics and stuff that I didn't get to focus on in the last video because of time constraints. But in this one, we were discussing full bore everything about Titans in Titanfall 2, so let's get started. Now, in the multiplayer that I was allowed to play, and by the way, there is some exclusive multiplayer gameplay playing in the background that they gave all the people attending this special event that kind of shows a lot of the gameplay from the trailer, but also some extended gameplay, so that's really cool. If you're a Titanfall fan, be aware of the gameplay in the background. But we're gonna first start out with the weapons and abilities, because like I was saying, in the version that I played, there was two different pre-constructed Titan loadouts that you could choose from. Now, the first one had just as its weapon kind of a normal chain gun, machine gun style of weapon. The only kind of special thing about it was that when you aim down sights, it seemed to kind of spread out horizontally, which was a little interesting, made it a little bit easier to take out groups of grunts, but actually kind of made it a little bit harder to take out specific, like, single pilot enemies. Now, for the abilities for this Titan, and it should be mentioned that instead of having just two abilities, one kind of allocated to each arm like there was in Titanfall 1, the Titanfall 2 Titans now have three special abilities. So you're going to have one, again, allocated to each arm of the Titan, but then a third ability that is activated by the triangle button on the PlayStation 4. We were actually playing on the PlayStation 4. Now, the three abilities for this chain gun Titan were, the first one was the classic shield, like bullet resistant, bullet collecting, actually I should say, shield that was available in Titanfall 1. So you deploy the shield, and if you're getting shot with missiles or bullets or whatever, it collects those and you can shoot those back at your enemy, so that's returning into the game. Now, the second ability mapped to the other bumper was a laser beam. Now, you'd hold the bumper and the laser would pop out of your Titan, and then as soon as you let the bumper go, it would shoot a direct target laser, did a ton of damage to enemy Titans, and insta-killed pilots. It was pretty sweet to use. Now, the third ability was actually a laser trap. What happened when you pressed the triangle button was that three kind of small pillars would shoot out of your Titan, and then a laser beam would connect all three of these pillars. And any enemies that walked through this laser would take a decent amount of damage, so you could kind of deploy this in a street, like a narrow corridor, and run away, and then any enemies passing through to get to you will be damaged by it. So that was actually pretty interesting play dynamic. The Titan cores have also been made a lot more interesting. In Titanfall 1, they were just, damage, speed, and defense, I believe. But in Titanfall 2, there's a lot more crazy abilities. For that Titan, the core ability, so pressing down on the D-pad after it's charged, you actually shoot out this giant laser out of your chest. And anything in the direction of that laser is going to take massive damage. Moving on, the second pre-constructed Titan loadout was a lot more interesting because it featured so many things completely different from Titanfall 1. Now, the weapon this time was again, a flaming cannonball launcher. This thing was absolutely crazy. It would shoot a single ball of fire that would hit the ground, do a little bit of area effect damage, and then have a lingering firing damage effect that if any enemies walked over that, they would be hurt by it. Now, after each shot, you'd have to reload your weapon, so it was a very slow weapon, very powerful, but you really had to be able to land your shots or else you would just get outgunned. Now, on top of that, the other abilities are, the first one was a flame shield. This was kind of similar to the bullet stopping shield in appearance. It was just red instead of blue, but this shield seemed to actually put forth damage, so you could deploy the flame shield, walk through a group of grunts, and kill all of them, which was definitely pretty cool. Now, the other ability mapped to the other bumper was a slam attack. You'd press the right bumper, I believe it was, and you'd take your right hand of your Titan and smash the ground and create a wall of flame that went forward from your fist. Now, the initial wall would do a ton of damage to anything within it, and it again left a burning mark on the ground around where this flame wall went, and any enemies that again went through that would take a little bit of extra damage. The third ability of this Titan was very interesting because it basically required another ability to work. The third ability shot a canister of gas that arced pretty heavily and then would deploy this device and start spewing out gas. But the gas was actually pretty harmless to any enemies that went through it. So if you shot this gas cloud, it wouldn't really do anything. What it's meant for is that when you shoot this gas cloud and the gas has been deployed, if you then shoot it with your primary fire cannonball shooter, it's then going to light on fire and the gas is going to ignite and cause a huge amount of area of effect damage. It was super effective. I got so many kills with this thing, just shooting the gas canister, hitting it with your primary weapon and just lighting in a huge area on fire, killing pilots very quickly, killing every grunt on the map basically, and killing Titans actually pretty quickly as well. So very effective ability, but you kind of do need two different things to activate it. And sometimes you obviously if you shoot it at another Titan, they see the gas, they can move out of the way before you ever ignite it. So that's definitely the downside and the balancing factor. Now the core ability for this last Titan was kind of a mega slam. You'd press down on the D-pad to activate your core ability and your Titan would slam the ground with both of his fists, sending out a huge wave of fire that just did a lot more damage. I actually got a Titan double kill with this. I killed 2 Titans by activating this one ability. It was absolutely fantastic. Very powerful thing to do. Now I should mention that there's been some speculation that these pre-constructed Titans are basically going to be in the actual game. You won't really get to customize your Titan too much. You basically get these, again, pre-constructed loadouts. I kind of hope that really isn't the case, or that there's some degree of customization, because, you know, one of the main complaints about Titanfall 1 was that it just didn't have enough stuff to do. And taking away some of that stuff to do by taking away some of the ability to customize your Titan seems like not a very good idea. But if they are pre-constructed and still let you add on certain perks or certain modifications, I can still see that system working. Speaking of some additional perks, it was very interesting that during my time with Titanfall 2, there was a moment where I was being rodeoed by another player, and we'll get into that because there's been a huge new mechanic added with pilot rodeos. But in any event, I was being rodeoed by another player, and there's a developer right beside me, and I kind of instinctively got out of my Titan to shoot the guy, and he said, no, just crouch, press B. And I was kind of going, oh really? I get back in my Titan, I crouch, and actually automatically deploy electric smoke. Now, a lot of you guys will know that in Titanfall 1, electric smoke was one of the abilities you could put on your Titan, but it seems like now it's either some sort of perk that you can put on, or it perhaps is maybe even an intrinsic ability that when you crouch with your Titan, you automatically deploy electric smoke. At least on the pre-constructed Titan that I was playing, that happened. So that was really interesting, and that's going to make it so that, you know, pilots are going to have a little bit harder time actually jumping and rodeoing other Titans. Now, speaking of this whole rodeoing other Titans, again, huge new mechanic added. So before, in Titanfall 1, if you jumped on the back of an enemy Titan, you would expose its core and you would just start shooting it. And it would do an incredible amount of damage to that Titan. But now, in Titanfall 2, when you jump on the back of an enemy Titan, what actually happens is, instead of exposing its core, you actually pull the core out and then jump off of the Titan. And you actually have that core on your player, and you can actually sometimes see pilots running around. There's a visual cue. You can actually see pilots with cores they've pulled out from enemy Titans still on them, and then you can actually kill those pilots and take those cores. Now, what's so special about these cores is that, firstly, when you actually pull out a core from a Titan, it is going to do a decent chunk of damage to that Titan, but these cores can actually be used in other scenarios. In fact, if you pull out a core of an enemy Titan, you can then go to one of your allied Titans and put that core into your allied Titan, healing that Titan. So that is a huge team play dynamic that has been added in with Titanfall 2. I was actually playing, of all people, I was playing with Shibby2142 and Drifter, and we had some moments where we would help each other out, and actually heal each other's Titans with these cores if we had them available. So it was a really awesome team dynamic. Additionally, once you've jumped on a Titan and taken out its core, you can actually jump back on that Titan, and then when you jump back on for the second time, you're actually going to throw a grenade down the hole of where you took out the core, and that is going to kill that Titan. So it seems like these changes have been done to make it a little bit harder for pilots to just jump on the back of a Titan and kill it instantly, and I'm actually hugely in favor of these changes. It was pretty dumb when you called in your Titan. It was a big thing. It takes a while to earn your Titan, and then some guy would just jump on you and kill it basically instantly, and that was pretty annoying. I like this whole new mechanic because it's not impossible to jump on the back of a Titan twice, to, you know, take out the thing and then throw in a grenade, kill that Titan. You're still, you know, a talented player is still going to be able to do that relatively easily, but it does make it a little bit harder and makes it so that your Titan is a little bit more powerful against enemy pilots, at least with the whole rodeoing thing. And it does add a whole other dimension of team play, which is really useful. Again, being able to be in a Titan, if you're a really good Titan pilot, and actually having your, you know, friends that are playing with you be able to heal your Titan and help you out in battle, that's huge, and that's just such an awesome thing that they've added. Alright, now let's talk about some of the differences between the Titanfall 1 and Titanfall 2 Titans. Now, one of the main differences, actually, is that the Titans are a little bit slower, I would say, and this has been achieved by, this is the developer himself actually told me this, that they have removed one of the boosts from all of the different chassis. So heavy Titans, instead of being able to boost once, they now can't boost at all. The medium Titans are actually going to be able to boost only once now, and the fast, like lightweight Titans are only able to boost twice. This is just kind of to make, I think, Titans a little bit reined down in the mobility department. They were pretty insane in Titanfall 1, and they kind of want them to feel like hulking behemoths, and so their speed has been slightly dialed back. Now, to somewhat compensate for the Titans' lack of mobility, they've been made a little bit more powerful. I definitely noticed when playing Titanfall 2 that the anti-Titan weapons and some of the weapons that we were able to use on our pre-constructed loadouts were returning from Titanfall 1. For example, the energy beam cannon, I forget exactly what it's called, but the thing that you had to charge up and it shot a direct laser at the Titan, that thing was back in the game, and I definitely noticed that it did less damage to Titans. In fact, all of the anti-Titan weapons seem to be doing a decent amount less damage to these Titans. And again, that kind of makes sense. If they're less mobile, if they're less able to get out of the way, it does make sense that they'd be a little bit more powerful, and those things would kind of equalize out. But it definitely makes you feel now when you're in your Titan, it's harder rodeo, it's definitely stronger, it's a little bit slower, it feels again more like a hulking behemoth, like a big machine, rather than this super nimble device that was in Titanfall 1. I can't say if this change is good or bad, but it definitely is a change to be aware of. And the last thing I want to mention is that in the multiplayer reveal trailer, there was a part where the pilot got into its Titan and it went into third person, and a lot of people were saying, oh, I hope they don't do this, it kind of ruins the immersion. I really like the Titanfall 1 version where it's all first person, and I think that was just done for the trailer, because in my entire time playing Titanfall 2, never went into third person. Every time I got in my Titan, it was always first person. So again, I think that was just for the trailer. I just wanted to clear that up. Now, that is it for pretty much everything we know so far about Titans in Titanfall 2. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating or sharing this video. Now, if you want to see more Titanfall 2 content in the future, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.